What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the PanNerdia Podcast. I'm A.A. Ron, and, well, we're back at it this Sunday evening, and not with a review, with another PanNerdia Podcast. I know, number 3, I promised we talk about Dragon Ball Super and what's to come with the movie in December, but we'll hold that off for another podcast very soon. In the meantime, you'll have me tonight, the lovely A.A. Ron, discussing some kick-ass anime that pretty much defines me and PanNerdia. Anime that not only that I started with, but what I'm watching now and what's currently inspiring me, and what animes I found along the way that really, if I had to lay them down, these are the anime that describe me. My description via anime. So, let's go ahead and get to it in tonight's PanNerdia Podcast. Alright, what do I got here first? Alright, so, first off, of course, we should talk about, well, none other than the Dragon Ball universe, Dragon Ball Z, currently Dragon Ball Super. I grew up on this show back in the mid-90s when it first aired on Toonami. I saw that back when I was like in second and third grade. I think my first encounter ever was during like a super late night commercial. Like I left my TV on while I was asleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night with it on, and I saw it playing on one of the channels, And I remember specifically the end of the title screen right here. And then when Goku turned Super Saiyan, and it was really cool, and I was like, what is that? And I didn't see it again, or remember seeing it again, a little while later, until I think it was like the Goku Vegeta fight, or when they were going to Namek and like running into the fake Namekians, and fake Planet Namek. And from there, I watched it, but then they did the whole thing where it would hit a certain amount of episodes and restart the whole series, then hit a certain amount of episodes and restart the whole series. It took forever to get through even the Frieza saga, but I stuck around, saw Super Saiyan Goku for the first time because it was airing right after school. So we get home from school, and me and my buddy Jake, we had a babysitter we go to after school, and we stay there until our parents picked us up. So that's what we did. We got off school and watched Dragon Ball, and it was amazing. And I drew them, surprisingly, when I was younger, and it just pretty much defined my first interaction truly with an anime. Well, there was Pokemon, Digimon, Sailor Moon, stuff like that, but I never really stuck with those. I played Pokemon the games, but the anime, I love the first original 150 Pokemon via the anime. I love all the Pokemon now, but I only stuck with the first generation via the anime, and Dragon Ball was what really held my attention back there, because I watched tons of other cartoons, not just anime, right? And I didn't even consider Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z anime back then. I didn't at all. So it was just something to really start opening my eyes and throw me into that realm without me truly knowing what that was yet. And it wasn't until years later, like early college, I saw stuff. You see clips from things. I even rewatched Dragon Ball Z before I got into college, in late high school, and this is back in like 2009 when I was graduating. The Dragon Ball Z Renaissance hadn't happened yet, right? So I really didn't hit on any other anime until I saw maybe like Afro Samurai. I saw those, and that was kind of anime inspired. I saw Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's not anime, but it's inspired by anime. And so they were hitting those points that Dragon Ball would hit in terms of like the awesome fights and the animation and the use of like energies and moves. So I always like superhero cartoons as well, right? So it wasn't until actually the next anime I really got into, and we'll get into it in just a second, was Full Metal Alchemist. Like I said, we'll move on to that in a second. But the touch on Dragon Ball Super, that's something that's going on currently right now. It still is in my veins. I'm going to love the Dragon Ball universe till the day I die. It's a part of me, right? And I'm so glad they had the Renaissance that they did. and now they have Dragon Ball Super. They had the new movies. They have the new movie coming out. Tons of stuff with the video games. Needless to say, Akira Toriyama and the Dragon Ball universe made a big mark, if not the most significant mark, on anime, particularly shonen anime, which involves, like, you know, boys or young men, you know, finding their potential and overcoming greater odds to save the better good, right? And it really set the road for any anime after it. It really did. And a lot of these animes I'll talk about tonight had to have been directly, and if not, partially inspired by Dragon Ball. Alright. So, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Full Metal Alchemist here next. So, this is the next anime. This was in kind of like halfway point of college. After I kind of got, you know, a lot of my social... Same thing with high school. High school and early college, it was me trying to be too social. So, I wasn't really delving into things that really brought me joy, right? I was trying to fit in that aspect. So, I lost touch with stuff like anime. So, or cartoons in general, right? Animation. And next I got into Full Metal Alchemist about halfway through college. And I'm glad I did, because, you know, it's just a great show. It's a derivative of, like, the Dragon Ball Z-esque setup, but it's a totally different realm. It's set in, like, you know, 1800s-ish, over in, like, Europe. You know, it's based in this world where alchemy is prevailing over, like, science. People use alchemy, and there's alchemists, and it gets to be, you know, very anime. And I'll use that tonight a lot, and that means it's like, it's a little over the top, but it's for cartoon's sake. But this story has such a good story in general. I mean, it follows the journey of two brothers, Edward and Alphonse, who want to become alchemists. And something tragic happens one night to where their mother does pass, and they try to bring her back, and they do so using alchemy, and it's like super taboo and forbidden to use alchemy to bring back a human, because there's sacrifices made. And essentially, Edward, the one who has the metal arm there at the sword, it's a robot arm essentially. And a very steampunk-esque show. And his little brother, his soul got transmuted to a body of armor. So that's their new duo. And it's very interesting. And it's their journey of not only becoming licensed alchemists, but finding a way to get back to normal forms via the Philosopher's Stone, and make up for what they did. And it's a great journey. There's actually another version that's closer to the manga called Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. But great show of perseverance and you know, showing you that you can push through. And even if you did make a mistake that you think you can't turn around from, there's ways to put in the work, even for your own sake, to get redemption for it, you know, to feel redeemed. So great show. I love it. The animation is beautiful. It's definitely got its goofs and it's funny, but great action, cool concepts. Not only with, like, 7 deadly sins concepts, but also different elemental factors. I don't know. It's such a good show if you're a big Dragon Ball fan and you're trying to get into anime. This is one kick-ass anime that I think even non-anime lovers will enjoy. Ooh, whoops, messed up there, haha. So, let's talk about Death Note first, before we talk about Attack on Titan. So, Death Note. This would not necessarily be the next anime I saw in order. It would have been Attack on Titan. But one that somewhat deviates from the typical hero-esque notion of Dragon Ball Z and even Full Metal Alchemist, which tends to get a little dark. Death Note goes totally down that dark side, but there's some light involved too. And I'm not talking about the main character, Light Higami. I'm talking about the initial goals he has to essentially expel the darkness. Well, if you don't know, the anime is about a high school kid who's very smart in his class. Ends up finding a notebook called the Death Note, and he ends up finding out that if you write a name in the book, that person will die, and you can get as specific as how they die and when they die as well. And there's other loopholes, but that book is connected to essentially a god of death, or like a Grim Reaper, so to speak, and they're only given to humans. Not really given. They're only found by humans because that god of death lost the notebook. So ultimately, it goes from a silent hero in the darkness kind of anime to corruption, almost Breaking Bad, if you will, to falling down this deep rabbit hole of drama and high tense kind of thriller-esque action that really keeps you on your feet and keeps you guessing and keeps your heart pumping and wanting you to watch the next episode, especially if you binge it. So it is a young boy finding his potential, but it goes down that dark, dark path, one that you wouldn't expect. So I highly suggest it, especially if you want to get into other forms of anime. This is a good bridge. It'll keep you in that same realm as the ones I've stated before, but also take you down another path. It's a good balance, so if you watch a new anime in the future, especially if they start going dark, you can appreciate it more based on an anime such as Death Note. Alright, so now let's talk about one of my favorite anime of all time, Attack on Titan. And this, in terms of chronological order, I probably saw insignificant anime, that is, in my life. Third on the list after Dragon Ball, then there was Full Metal Alchemist, and there was Attack on Titan. Now, I found out about the first season through Toonami, of course, again, the Adult Swim version. And saw some episodes randomly and saw, man, this show's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It looks so cool. What is this? I did some research on it. Come to find out, it was Attack on Titan. Found out Netflix had the first season, though it was subbed. I decided to watch it all. Immediately went to Best Buy and found it dubbed on Blu-ray. Brought it back and watched it again because I loved it so much, the first season. And got all 20 whatever episodes it is. It was just amazing to me. I know some people harp on it and they didn't like how it turned out. You know, I guess they didn't like how the basis of the show turned out. About halfway through the first season, something big happens and it totally changes the game. I think in a good way, right? But essentially the show, Attack on Titan, is a super crazy, shonen-esque, because it's about a young man and his potential, but super dark, apocalyptic anime about the, essentially the apocalypse somewhere around the time, like the 1700s, and presumably Barbarian areas, you know, over in, like, Germanic lands. But the humans have been drove almost to extinction by these titans, these giant, gruesome-faced creatures that just look like big, naked, grown men in all facets, but with no genitalia. And essentially, humanity has moved behind a series of walls in ring form that are miles and miles in between each ring to keep themselves from the titans. And, well, it starts off, well, with this giant titan that can peer over the walls, kicking a hole in and letting titans in. So you not only get to follow the young protagonist Eren Yeager's journey and discovery of what he has potential, and also his dark past, as well as his journey into the military and trying to figure out this big mystery and possibly save humanity from the Titans. It's an amazing, amazing anime. Wow. And season 3 is almost over now. Started about a month and a half ago. You can check it out on a lot of those different streaming services. I'm currently watching on Verve. So, great stuff. I'm watching it subbed. And, yeah. Whew. Really dark stuff. It's almost like The Walking Dead in that aspect, but in anime form. Really, really gruesome stuff. But check it out. Highly suggest it. Not only did it inspire me tremendously with the animation, I mean the art in the show. For anybody who's just into animation, will appreciate it so much. Check it out. Attack on Titan. All right, let's talk about an anime that I hadn't heard of at all until I stumbled across it. All right, and this was after I've watched Death Note via Netflix. I binged it. I eventually stumbled onto actually first Sinbad. It was a Netflix original, and it was essentially following the famous sailor that you've heard about since you've grown up, Sinbad, right? The master of the seven seas. And I watched that, and it was just a really cool anime. How he basically found these genies or jinn, and essentially beat their temple that they were in. And after he got beat them, he got an item, and that item he was able to equip to himself, jinn equipped, and he could have the power of that genie. And all the genies have some elemental or special power. And he essentially became like this dungeon lord and ruled the seven seas. And it was a show about how he became that. I was like, wow. And then I found out that there's a show called Magi, which was the original anime that Sinbad was featured in. He was kind of like the omnipotent god legend guy who was kind of in the background from the main characters. He's right here, this guy. That's Sinbad. So I decided to watch Magi. And it was amazing. You know what? You know what it's about? It's such a cool concept. Magi is about Aladdin. This is Aladdin right here. And Alibaba. Where's Alibaba at? Oh, Alibaba's down at the bottom with the big sword. It's about Aladdin and Alibaba and their journeys to capture genies in dungeons. Jinn, that is. They each get jinn equipped, and they meet friends along the way. And you discover what a Magi is and who, indeed, is a Magi. It's an amazing show. Another cool action-packed show, especially when they get their jinn equips and they start fighting. And Sinbad, he's kind of like a Dragon Ball Z character. That's how badass he is. Really, really cool anime. It's got a cool story. It gets real political, which is cool. I enjoyed that aspect of it. And I'm excited to see more, because where I left off on Magi, I want to see where things go. And not only that, I want to see more of Sinbad too. So Netflix, where you at? But if you guys want to watch some cool anime that's inspired by stories that you've heard since you were a little kid that aren't even anime related, but they kind of twisted it into their own thing, go check out Magi and Sinbad over on Netflix. It's good stuff. All right. I'm waiting to talk about this one. So, since I've seen those other animes, I've seen more. I've tried out more anime. I've visited older animes again, and of course, there's ones that I loved, and I can always go back to watch Dragon Ball stuff, and Dragon Ball Super continues to be a love. Of course, it's not always the best story, but I love Dragon Ball. I mean, shit, I'm painting my way to Kamehameha right now, but I really needed an anime that was gonna step up to the plate and be the next big anime in my mind, and completely envelop everything that I loved about my childhood. Because you got Attack on Titan and Death Note. That stuff gets dark, man. I wouldn't want to watch those animes when I was a kid. That would have scared the shit out of me, especially Attack on Titan. Some of those Titans, man. Whew. Even Magi got a little dark sometimes. But My Hero Academia, though it does get dark, but it's like a badass, almost like 90s or 80s movie badass, kind of like alpha shit, right? My Hero Academia is a story of, well, a world where people started evolving with quirks, essentially superpowers, almost like X-Men, mutants, if you will. And now there's even high schools and places, institutions to learn how to hone your quirk and become certified heroes. And this particular anime is about a young boy named Izuku Midoriya and his journey from being quirkless, being born without a quirk, which there are people who are born without a quirk, to being gifted a quirk, the quirk that is the symbol of peace, one for all. All right. So it's an amazing show. It's a show about triumph and fighting no matter what, and truly what it takes to be a hero. How to, in the face of danger, really stand there. And like, you know, growing up watching the Dragon Ball Z English dub, you got that sense from Goku, but as you grew older and you find out the Japanese Goku wasn't about that, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's just a fraud, right? This show is that all together. It embraces that. It is that, right? There's no denying it. There's no dub flubs. I'm looking at you, Masco. Hashtag dub flub. Pardon the noise outside. I live in downtown St. Louis, even though I'm out here in the wilderness, right? But a great show. I love the action and the animation's amazing. The different quirks, how quirky they are. Some of them are so wacky, but they're brilliant, right? They're well thought out. They're really cool. I love all the characters' designs, as well as it's actually pretty funny. And it gets pretty badass. And there's moments that make me feel like the first time when I saw Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Like, those really, like you start tearing up, like, this is amazing type moments. It's still ongoing. It's on season 3 right now. It's about the end, though. They got a movie coming out at the end of September, which I just got tickets for. So, it's the hot new anime. I'm excited to see where this goes. This is going to go down as one of the most historic kind of shonen anime. It's just really cool, man. It's really good. I love it. The music's great in there. And right now, it's taking the cake as probably my favorite anime at the moment. But right next to it is the next anime we're going to talk about. But one last thing I got to say about My Hero Academia is the fact that they're simuldubbing it right now. I think it's amazing. It gives me even more viewing content. I watch both versions. And if they can keep up the work they're doing in terms of how they're telling the story, I know the manga's a little ahead of it. Like I said, this is going to end up being one of the best shonen of all time. And if you noticed yet, I haven't talked about Naruto, Boruto, Bleach, One Piece. I haven't watched any of those. I can't judge them, but none of them have ever interested me. You feel me? They've always felt more of knockoffs. I know I've talked about inspired by Dragon Ball Z, but I've always felt that to me, they felt like that. I know they're not, right? And those fans would rip my head off. They're not by any means, any more than any of these shows are. But for some reason, those shows didn't grab my attention, and these shows did. All right. Everybody's got their own tastes. Let's go ahead and talk about the show that I'm currently watching and catching up on, binging heavily. And it's a show that's been out for a while now, in 2 different iterations. And manga that's just about to come back out. Hunter x Hunter. Pronounced Hunter x Hunter, not Hunter x Hunter. There's a story about Gon Freeses, a young boy, 12 years old, from Whale Island, who's going to take his hunter exam, become a hunter, and find his father, who is a double star hunter. Hunters in the world of Hunter x Hunter, that's a mouthful, right, are pretty much the superheroes of their world, okay? Needless to say. So, it's a great show. Again, really action-packed, but real grounded. They eventually start dealing with things in the nature of ki, like in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super. But It's in the notion of it's called Nin, and they do a really good job of explaining how it's used. Not only how they can expand and contract their aura, how they can use it as defense, how they can use it to see and sense other powers, how they can use it to make and manifest weapons and use and do other things based on what they sacrifice and what rules they set on themselves. They get so descriptive and strategic, and they really let you know what it takes to use this power. It's almost like I wish they would have explained that in Dragon Ball. You kind of just figure out you figured it out by yourself, like, oh, that must be what they're doing. And this show, after watching it, like, okay, that is totally what they're doing. They just never explained it as well as Hunter x Hunter's explaining it. But amazing show. The story's pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it gets a little wacky, but ultimately it's dope. It gets really dark in places where the show and sometimes seems very bubbly. It gets very dark. Currently right now I'm on the Chimera Ant arc, and King Miriam just was born, and this shit is crazy. Really, really crazy stuff. I'm really looking forward to what's ahead because I kind of snuck ahead myself, and not in the anime, and just looking online and saw something. It's actually what sparked me is that new game Jump Force coming out, and the fact that you saw some of the characters' gameplay, and I saw what appeared to be an older version of Gon, the main character. I was like, what? So I found out what that was. So I'm pretty much binging to that part, right? But again, an amazing anime. Really, really about like pushing your limits again. But it really teaches you a lot about that stuff. It teaches you about strategy. It makes you think outside the box and how they accomplish certain things. Again, some things can be fucking kooky, wacky. But all in all, it's a great anime, and I'm loving it so far. I'll actually watch some more episodes tonight. But that is what I have for you guys tonight on the PanNerdia Podcast. I know these are rather short. They're not meant to be super long, drawn-out podcasts. They're just, simple discussions. They're, a chance for me to discuss something that's on my mind. Things that I don't want to put into full episodic format or have its own series on here on my channel. I don't have time for everything, right? I'm painting, I'm doing tons of stuff. So I want to be able to kind of roll some things into a discussion here and there. And I just figured, you know what? These are some animes that I grew up on, I'm watching now, and I found along the way that I figured I'd share with y'all. They're kick-ass. They all have really good meaning behind them. Though they can get dark, it's about finding the light within, and I highly recommend all those animes I mentioned tonight. So, I am going to get ready to watch the premiere of The Deuce Season 2 on HBO tonight. You guys let me know in the comments if you would like me to do a review show, or at least a kind of bi-weekly review show of The Deuce Season 2. I love Season 1. It's a show about essentially the rise of the porn industry in New York in the late 1970s. And it's starring James Franco and Jake Gyllenhaal's sister, Maggie Gyllenhaal. So, it's a cool show. It's really badass. Check that out. But I'm going to watch that tonight. In the meantime, if you guys want some more PanNerdia content, you can jump over here around on the PanNerdia YouTube channel. There's plenty of content, not only from all of my latest time-lapse paintings of what I've been working on with Dragon Ball. You can find Dragon Ball video game gameplay from Dragon Ball Dokkan, and as well as Legends. You can also find the Dragon Ball Super card game. I have an unopening series where I'm unopening with my cousin Robert a whole booster box. I also do plenty of review shows. Like I said, normally Sundays are review shows, and we will be back soon with not only another discussion of Better Call Saul, but as well as the Walker Talkers. But in the meantime, if you're binging any shows like The Walking Dead or Westworld from HBO, maybe even Sharp Objects from HBO, I review those shows here on PanNerdia. So you can go check out my reviews over in my playlist section. Other than that, guys, you can check me over at twitch.tv/PanNerdia. Weekdays, weeknights actually, usually around 8 o'clock, I'll be doing live painting sessions, getting ready for KamehamehaCon 2019, as well as every once in a while, especially coming up this holiday season with all the badass games they're releasing, I'll be doing some gameplay live and stuff like that too. So you can catch me most weeknights on twitch.tv/PanNerdia around 8 p.m. Central, as well as sometimes on the weekend. But I try to stream at least 3 times a week and at most 5. So come check me there. Plenty of content. If you want to see my time lapses live, that's where you'll find me. And like I mentioned, guys, I am working towards KamehamehaCon 2. I have an artist booth there. KamehamehaCon 2019 over in Dallas, Texas. I'll have an artist booth selling all my sweet-ass Dragon Ball Universe fine art paintings. So I'll be making prints of all of them, as well as I'll have the originals there for sale. So come see me April 2019 in Dallas, Texas at KamehamehaCon, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, of course. Other than that, guys, I appreciate you for stopping by. Thank you so much. It's been a great PanNerdia podcast. Another one down the drain. It's number 3. First solo one, though. And, yeah, the next one will be coming soon. And what we discuss, who knows? It'll be either about the Dragon Ball Super movie or something entirely different. But, hey, you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Have a good week as well. And I'll see you guys back on PanNerdia soon. Thanks a lot. AA Ron out.